Book 1. The Arrival. A dark, inky alleyway, with nothing but the soft light of a lamp to guide me forwards. I press onwards. I know I'm looking for something, but in this dark haze, I cannot quite remember what that thing is. All I know is that I must keep going, with the unknown blackness before me. Every step I take feels like it becomes heavier and heavier, and yet it seems to go on forever. The further I trudge onwards, the smoother the walls become. Cold brick gives way to something flat and featureless. The sound of my footsteps fade away, as if the volume on a television was turned down. Soon enough, I feel nothing. I see nothing. Nothing in front of me, nothing behind me. Infinity stretches as far as the eye can see. It's like I'm underwater, swimming in the thickest, densest sea. But even that would be preferable to this. It feels like the ultimate form of sensory deprivation. How I would give anything for any kind of feeling. Then, in the middle of it all, I hear a strange voice.
Everything here. It's clean. Don't you like it?
It cuts through the nothingness like a searing hot blade.
Simply pristine. Not a stain in sight. No imperfections to be found. No errors of any kind. It's as clean as can be.
His voice is the only thing I can comprehend. It echoes endlessly throughout my mind, running circles in it, over and over and over.
It's truly a sight to behold, is it not? Clean, 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 clean.
I wanted to stop, but I cannot say anything.
But it's not perfect. You are like a disease in this otherwise pristine, healthy body. I think it's time for some cleanup to keep this place more secure. Because after all, security is my motto.
I wake up in a cold sweat. I'm relieved to hear the familiar sounds of my stagecoach. It was the same dream again. Almost every day, ever since my voyage to New England, these thoughts troubled my mind in the night. Sometimes I wondered if those dreams meant anything. I tried not to think about them too much, because they really weren't making this journey any easier. It was October of 23 when I finally arrived in New England. The town by the harbor was small and quaint. There was no technology, very few vehicles, not a single luxury. While most, save for the Amish community, would call this town dull, I was impressed that such a place could even exist, especially after the cruel winter. In the middle of the town, I, Takane Shijou, wished to spend a peaceful vacation. I had spent most of my year retired from my association with 765 Production, in favor of helping to rebuild our collapsed society, as well as searching for a missing friend. I had assumed that perhaps he and David would have hosted another extravagant Halloween get-together, but as the months passed, there was still no word from him. When he was still with us, he told me about his interest in one national harbor. I did not know which harbor he meant, so I've been going from harbor town to harbor town since, in hopes that I would be able to find him once again. Unfortunately, what I found in this town was nothing to celebrate. I was on my way to the local hotel to drop off my belongings when I ran into a hooded individual. He was pudgy, hairy, and spoke in a synthesized voice. When I tried to apologize, he spoke to me in a sort of poem.
Though folks of this town will try in vain, the Forsaken One will rise again.
He then headed off towards the ocean side. Forsaken One. I had never heard of such a name. However, the situation did not seem unfamiliar to me. 2 years ago to the date, I had encountered an attempt to plunge this world into a living hell. Since that day, matters of the occult have deeply concerned me. In his hurry, he had dropped a book. A strange tome known as the Protonomicon. It was orange and blue with ancient-looking markings. For some reason, just looking at it gave me a strange feeling. Picking it up, it felt strangely airy. It was definitely a crusty old tome, but it felt smooth to the touch. It felt as if my fingers would slip right through it. That strange feeling I got upon looking at it intensified when I touched it. I put that aside and opened it to see what was inside. To my surprise, there were markings of a superhero. A small, masked gentleman who looked familiar to me somehow. That's when I realized. Prior to my current life of travel, I was once an actress alongside my friend, who also served as a director and executive producer. On the set of one of his movies, a horror film about a shadowy beast, one of the extras had been involved in an on-set accident that cost him his life. Now that same man was in this book. How could this be? I knew I had to get answers immediately. Or, at least, after dinner. These long, cold nights have left me longing for the warmness of hearty ramen.